Well, hello, folks. Welcome to Wartime Optimism. What's going on, everybody? We're not listening to this music today. I was just trying really hard not to get excited, and I think trying not to get excited got me more excited. What can you do? What can you do? Let's put on some different music, shall we? Alright, let's turn that off. And let's start with whatever... Oh, let's start with our little kind of get excited song. I quite like this song, actually. I don't typically listen to this kind of music, in general, but this one, yeah, this one I dig. Vlad, Milan, Nitin, Nicholas, what's going on, guys? Happy Thursday to you all. I hope you're doing well. Oh, the light's still off. There we go. All right. We're gonna try and finish this painting today. While I get myself organized here, how's everybody doing? How's the week going? How's their quarantine rolling off, maybe? Maybe starting to, maybe not? I would love to know. Yeah. Let's get this thing started. So today, or tomorrow, I am going to be on the Morning Depresso podcast. I love those guys. I'm excited for it. I'm really excited. There's a link down below if you don't know where it is. I'm pretty sure it's going to be on YouTube. I have a link to their YouTube channel beneath. It is going to be live. I think that's where it is. I'm looking forward to it. We're going to be talking about crediting and copyright and contracts and kind of all of this stuff that if you're not a member of the Credit Revolution Facebook group, we're just kind of talking about making sure your clients credit you for your work, making sure other people aren't using your work to promote their own things. And we'll be talking about all of that fun stuff. Which is important. It's important for a business. It's important, I think, for like our community, both as ArcViz artists and as CG artists. And I think that we need to, be setting as good of example as possible. Because that whole do as I say, not as I do thing doesn't tend to work. So we're going to be talking about all of that kind of thing. Because there's a lot of things I think that a lot of small, especially small firms, but big firms as well, can do. From like their contract to like how they're handling their clients and everything else to make sure that when their work's being used, they're getting appropriate acknowledgement for that. So check it out tomorrow. It's going to be 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, which I think that's 17 CET. Pretty sure that's right. My math skills are working. It should be good. I'm looking forward to it. I hope to see you guys there in the chat. This stream, Paintover Friday, will be happening at its normal time, unless that runs super long. But if that goes on for 2 hours, we have other problems, I think, on our hands. So this the timing for this shouldn't be affected, but it might be a little bit if that runs long or anything like that. Okay, let's see here. Okay, so I'm overall pretty happy where this guy is at. Is it at the level that I want to get to overall? No. Is it beyond where I'm comfortable? Yes. So I'm thinking we're doing pretty good. And I think that this might be a little bit of a shorter stream today. There's like 3 things that I can think of that are still really jumping out at me that I want to do something about. And that is I think that's better. I want to work on the character a little bit because I don't like the way that she looks at the moment. I want to get a little bit... I'm pointing with my hand, not my mouse. I want to work on the character. I want to get a little bit more separation, like visual separation between this kind of... I don't know what that's called. Bulwark? I don't know what it is. But between that and the columns beyond it. So a little bit more depth there. And maybe we'll try and firm up a couple of details. Maybe not. I'm not sure. But definitely her and the distance. Internet issues? Thinking internet issues? Maybe this is working again? My people's in the chat. Let me know if you can see and hear me. We're back. Awesome. Thank you, Milan. The internet has really been kind of hit and miss with this whole pandemic thing going on. At least ours has over here. But you know, what can you do? You win some, you lose some. Life, generally speaking, moves forward, and everything is okay. Yeah, so let's just hop in. I don't think we need these anymore. What's this guy? I think that's line work. We're gonna leave that off. We're not gonna use any line work. We're just gonna delete it. And we're gonna get back to painting. Alrighty. Okay, let's start with where I'm more comfortable, which is getting some separation and depth into this. There's a nice straight line. If that doesn't follow a straight line, we'll deal with it afterwards. Okay, so I think we can actually use some curves here to kind of separate that just a little bit. And no, we're not gonna do that. We're gonna paint right into our mask here. I'm not sure. It's a little bit laggy. Nicholas, that's probably on my side. I'm getting a little green bar from OBS. YouTube says it's working, but you know, the internet is what it is these days, it seems. We'll bring a little bit of depth back into that. Maybe a little bit behind it. And then obviously we want to fade that out. Don't need no hard lines in here. Excuse me. That I think's looking nice. Okay. Where? Oh, come on. There we go. Get myself organized over here. I think maybe just get a little, decrease the contrast back there a little bit so that it's not as kind of blatant. Maybe get a little bit on these edges. Just a little bit of definition. A little bit of a hint of something. Ooh. This, I told you guys know that I've been going through some computer issues, and it seems like one of the things, I don't know if it's some kind of like system file that's not behaving or what, but like every time I open a software, up, it's got like different palettes. The palettes keep moving or resizing, or keyboard shortcuts have just been continually disappearing. Ooh. Parts have started to arrive though, which is exciting. I mean, just the power supply, which is kind of the least exciting part of things. But at least some things have shown up, started to show up. And hopefully by like mid next week, everything's here. I have a feeling the last thing that's going to arrive is the case. So I think I'm going to end up with like the entire computer except for the case, so I won't be able to get started until that arrives. But such is life. Such is life. Okay, so I think that overall her tones are a little too dark. I really need to get back on my people practice because, as you can see, I've not gotten very far. Hello. All right. Well, I feel like I should be talking. I don't have anything to say. Guys, what's been on your minds lately? What's kind of the latest in your countries? How's work going? Have you guys started to see any pickup in work? Did it never kind of fall off for you guys? Do you guys have businesses starting to open? What's the latest? I do feel like I'm watching less news. Like I keep kind of like toning it down and down and down because I can only take so much of that stuff, and like I'm sure wherever you guys are, you've seen plenty of Trump. It's infuriating, and so I've just been trying not to watch any more than I absolutely need to make sure that I know what's going on in the places that I do. Excuse me. Oh, Nicholas, congratulations, my friend. I wish you the best of luck at it. Is it a studio that you are excited of? Don't answer that question. That's a terrible question to ask in a public setting. Absolutely terrible. No good, Mike. Well, congratulations either way. Interviews are always a little bit stressful, a little bit exciting, a bit fun. I very much hope that it goes well for you, bud. And I am also excited to hear that there are some ArcViz studios hiring. That's great news. Or at least one ArcViz studio hiring. But it's all about getting it started, right? Let's see. Oops. So like right now, like especially when you go like to black and white, you can see how much she stands out as like the darkest thing in the image. And I think what maybe we want to do is introduce just a bit of black. Maybe we just kind of pull some of this in here. So that, like, obviously she's an important part of the image. She is a focal point of the image, one of them at least. And so having her as like the highest contrast piece is definitely not a bad thing. But by that same token, I don't want her to feel out of place. I want her to fit into her surroundings. I feel like some of these, not quite that dark. Let's just drop the opacity. Milan, no, I totally didn't assume its gender. I'm its creator. I get to pick its gender. In this situation. But no, I used a female model for it. Originally, that like same Survivor girl that I've been using recently, just as like a placeholder. And in my head, this has always been a woman. I don't think that I'm stepping on any toes with that. I certainly didn't intend to. But yeah, in my head, that's a woman. She's older than the model. I actually like the backstory that I have for her. So like, my idea with this is kind of that this is like a obviously it's some type of governmental authoritarian type of building. It's a bit ominous. We got the super steep, super tall staircase. And in my head, she is like a highly powered clerk of some sort. Scribe, if this is like a mildly fantasy world. She's got power. but she kind of hates her job, and she's not a happy person. That's who she is in my head. Should we give her a name? What should we call her? First thing that came to mind was Clarice. But that's not the name I want to give her. That doesn't seem right. Greta? No. Irma? Beatrice? She's a Beatrice. That's her name. Definitely Beatrice. Milan. I'm glad things are getting back to normal. Hopefully they slowed down but didn't come to a complete standstill for you. Mine went like this. A bunch of things got canceled or postponed, or hey, we'll wait and see what happens. And then a bunch of other jobs kind of came in to fill that place, and then one or two of those other jobs came back. And so the last month, the first month was nice and peaceful, which I really enjoyed, and then the last month has been. It's a good problem to have. Absolutely, it's a good problem to have, but I am very, very ready for a break from it all. So, hopefully, of the two projects that are still kind of sitting on my plate to get finished, one is just about done. Maybe a couple more hours after this is over. And then the other one I am hoping to wrap up this weekend. We will see how that goes, but I'm hoping for it. And then I'm taking myself a little. I mean, I guess there's never been a time when the word staycation has been more appropriate, huh? But yeah, I'm taking a little work break, which I'm excited about because I have some ideas for the channel and the live stream that I'm really excited to kind of actually start practicing and see if they work out. And I'm excited to see what you guys are thinking about. I'm thinking on Monday. Hopefully by Monday I've had a breath of fresh air. I'm ready to get started on some of these things. And I think this Monday, we're just going to kind of talk about some of the ideas that I have. I'd love to hear what you guys think about them for things to do moving forward. I got lots of ideas, and we'll just have to start kind of testing them one by one while we have some time. So that's kind of that's where I'm at. Oops. Nicholas, yeah, there's not back in December, I decided it was time to update my 3 Marks website, and I was procrastinating on it, so I said, here's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to take the existing one down. The whole thing needs to be updated, and then with that down, I'm going to be very, very motivated to actually go through and start doing some things. And then a couple client projects that weren't supposed to come through, or I didn't expect to come through, came through. They got pushed back. It got pushed back. And if you go to 3marks.com right now, that's the state that it's in. And then I started an Instagram. I can post old work on the Instagram for a while. And then same thing, just haven't gotten to it. Not for any real good reason, other than been busy. Been busy, and that's kind of about it. that's about the amount of the story. There will be more stuff. I will put all the work back up. It's not down for any reason other than my own inability to keep all of that stuff in order. Nicholas, I'll show you in a second, because I think I'm happy with this guy. I want this to end. It's just some small changes today, but I think important ones. Gives the scene a little bit more depth. I think things fit together. I think she looks a little bit better. She doesn't look great, but we can only tackle so many things. I don't want to get into a point where I start experimenting with more things that are I'm already pretty well outside of my comfort zone, And I can always start another one if I want to continue practicing these, but you want to keep some like positive momentum in your practice. At least I do. Where like I feel like if I keep trying to go even further than I've gone already, I'm gonna hit a point where I start to get frustrated with my inabilities. Yeah, I feel good about this. I feel like I learned some things. I feel like I was outside my comfort zone. I like how it looks. I think we might call that. I'll probably give it like one more look while I have this bright light off. That's what it looks like against light. Mid-gray. I like the color palette that came out. Like it doesn't look quite like I was kind of initially imagining it, but it's close and I quite like it. Overall, we're gonna call this a win. Look at that. Nicholas, I'd be happy to. Yeah, we could talk. Well, it's still on my to-do list to do some like client management, changes, rounds of review, presenting your work, presenting yourself, negotiation, kind of all the stuff that I typically talk about when I talk about talks, when I give talks. I'm still planning on doing that, and now that I'm gonna have some free time, I can actually, that one I need to actually like put together a little bit. Let's just look there, and then let's see here. Let's make sure that I don't show, but I'll show a little bit of my work to let you know. I mean, like it looks nothing like what you're looking at right now. It looks much different. I'm just gonna have to kind of pull images over one by one. I really need like a folder that is like safely, all of this is beyond NDA. Everything I've done in the past year, for the most part. Most of what I've done in the past year is not public. Some of it will be eventually, hopefully. Some of it never will be. And I really need a folder of clear stuff. Let's see. Oh, I worked on my first house, which I was really excited about. I had a lot of fun with. I worked on my first house. This was just a couple of months ago, for a firm one of my buddies works for. That was fun. What else can we show that I like? I did some editorial style images, not editorial styled. I did images for the Jean Nouvel Tower. This is another one that I talk about a lot in my talks. This was a number of years ago. Stuff like that. Blue skies, bright, shiny, all that kind of fun stuff. Much cleaner work. Cleaner in the sense of, not painterly. What else? I tend to live kind of in the luxury residential world of the market for ArcViz, mostly in high-end luxury residential work for largely marketing images. The vast majority of my work is marketing imagery. Oh, this was a fun one. This was from a while ago. I don't think the client ever used that one. I kind of just did that one for fun. Rain on the window didn't seem to get them very, very excited. But what can you do? You win some, you lose some. Life goes on. Doing images like this, though, is always fun, especially if you're in like a big, massive project and like you're starting to kind of get a little bit repetitive, or you feel like you need to change. Just make an image for fun. Give it to your client. They might like it. They might not like it. You never know. Open sesame. Why are these all opening small? Who knows? Yeah. What else can we show? There's a decent amount there. Most of this stuff can't show that project. What else? We'll leave it there. That's what most of my professional work tends to look like. Nicholas, I really like exteriors, but generally speaking, with like a big like marketing project, for a big giant tower, they need like 1 to 3 exteriors, and then at least in New York, like 1 to 3 exteriors, and then like 20 interiors. So it's not so much that I focus on interiors. It's more that the way that the cookie crumbles, so to speak, is that I end up doing a lot more interiors than exteriors. But yeah, and actually, where's that? I showed this image a lot. I really like this image. This was a fun one to do. This project, I did actually end up making, I think, 4 exteriors. We did this one, we did that one, we did this one that I don't like. Ended up doing this one too, but that's not as cool as this guy. And then we did some like floating terrace shots and all that kind of thing. Yeah, we'll definitely talk more about professional work moving forward at some point. But that's always kind of a mess because I don't have it organized on my computer in a way that I can just like, hey, let's look at my screen. And I feel like I should have that kind of planned out a little bit. Last thing I need to be doing is saying something I don't mean or didn't mean to say about clients. But yeah, exteriors. I mean, like I think firms that focus more on the design side, working for architects or in competitions, kind of like the initial. There's like I feel like the Arc Viz industry is pretty cleanly split between images that are made after the project's been designed and images that are made before or while the project's being designed. And I think that exteriors tend to be much more a higher percentage of the work in the while it's being designed phase. But yeah, so that's an idea of the work that tends to fill my time whilst I'm not doing sketchery in the fantasy world. And I think the fact that I do live in a world where like getting things like the color exactly perfect and the ceiling's exactly perfect and all of that, because the rendering becomes almost a legal document in some cases for buyers, that like that attention to detail is super duper high, and the faithfulness to like the drawings and what's going to be built has to be super high. And so I think that when I do sketch work, that's why I go kind of so far generally into the fantasy world, because it's like, hey, let's do something completely different. But yeah, so I think that's where I think we're gonna call it there for today, because I really want to get back to client work. It's going well. It's almost done. I'm excited about that. And then I'm excited to kind of have a couple of weeks to relax and spend time with the missus and the baby, and just do some personal projects and practice some things that I've been stacking up on my head. Play with this Procreate thing, Oleg. I'm still excited about that. Whenever I've been like waiting for a long file to save, or my computer's been doing something weird, I need to give it a minute to break. But picking up my iPad and just touching the screen is nice. I'm so excited to get comfortable in that software. Nicholas, there's a couple people I talk to regularly throughout like the week, just kind of that talk from we'll just hop on the phone, and like a lot of times we'll sit in silence because we both work from home, and it's nice just to have someone else there that kind of keeps you honest, especially if you're with everything going on in the world and everything else. I think that myself included has been a little bit more. I mean, it's probably stress at the end of the day, but it's not presenting in the normal sense of like, oh, I have a million things to do and no time to do it. I think that's just kind of like, it's more like, it's like the equivalent stress to like credit card debt or something, where it's just this thing in the background that is like affecting your ability to concentrate and stay positive and focus. And so having somebody else on the line while working helps. As far as like bouncing images off of people or asking questions, there's no one I'm doing that with like all of the time that I check in like every day. Like, here's what the image looks like now. What do you think? But I definitely have like a group of friends that I regularly, I'm like, hey, I'm working on this. Give me your thoughts. Or, hey, something's bothering me. Or I think this is cool. Whatever it might be. To give me a second set of eyes. Because especially when you stare at these things for as long as we frequently do, you get lost in them. And you stop being able to kind of look at them objectively anymore. So I definitely have like a pretty decent group of friends that I still rely on for that. And I regularly send them stuff, which is fun. It gives us a reason to talk. But on the go, there's a couple people I think that, or I know that like if I send them something, they'll respond to it pretty quickly. My last personal ArcViz project. I'm not sure that I've ever really done what you could call like an ArcViz project. Personal project. I've started a lot of them. And I never finished them. Like there's a couple different like apartments that I designed that I really wanted to do. And like I spent a bunch of time on the design, but by the time I got like to the point where I could start making images of it, I was tired of it, or like I got busy and just forgot about it or whatever else. Is there any like, I'm like, obviously I have a lot of buildings. This is ArcViz. This was a personal project. I mean, there's like an ArcViz nature to it, because I do love architecture and buildings, but like the fantasy side is just so much more fun for practice. Is there nothing? There's got to be some things in here. Not really. I mean, this was studying Hugh Ferris. If you guys are familiar with him, which you should be. If you're not, Google him. He's the man. One of my all-time heroes. This is like taken directly from a couple of his compositions. And so even though that still has, that one's not. That one does. So even though that's not what I would call like ArcViz, it's definitely architecture related. They're almost all architecture related, but none of them that I would quite call ArcViz. And then back at the beginning, we did some sketching, and this was Stone Man. He was way in the beginning. But yeah, I spend all day, every day doing ArcViz for the most part. And so I think in my free time, I want to do something different. Let's see. I mean, this is kind of ArcViz-y. This was in 2017. Still kind of borderline fantasy. This was one of the apartments that I started, or houses that I started like designing, and this is the only image I actually made of it. This was playing with some like, this was a personal project looking at 56 Leonard, the Herzog and de Meuron project. Just like quickly playing with some like long exposure techniques. That was actually quite fun. Quick, these images do not hold up if you look into them. But these were also a while ago. This was 2016, way long ago. Doing the same thing with a Bjarke Ingels project, and this is like a one-night study, right? Like modeling that building's pretty easy, and just kind of playing with the idea of more artistic, used heavily in quotes, like photography styles, and like a heavy black and white grade. I was really into long exposure photography at that time. I was going through a little thing, and so I wanted to practice some of that with 3D. And then now we're back like 5, 6, 7 years ago. So yeah, there. Nicholas, thank you for the questions. I very much appreciate it. I always need stuff to talk about. Oh, Milan, that thank you. I hope you like it. That one was a fun one to make. You guys know how I feel about modeling buildings. I do not enjoy it whatsoever. I actually quite enjoy modeling furniture, especially like that sort of furniture. And that one, that was the beginning of my fallout with Earl DK on Big Sky, 3D Sky. Like at some point when he felt like he had enough models or whatever, he just became this tyrant. And now I try to use 3D Sky as little as possible, to be 100% honest. But sometimes it's unavoidable. Folks, thank you for being here as always. Tomorrow we are going to be doing some paintovers. Definitely check out the Morning Depresso podcast live tomorrow at 11 a.m. We're going to be talking about work stuff, business, contracts, copyright. Crediting is the main topic, making sure that you get credit for the work that you do. So I think there should be some good information in there. Hopefully it'll be entertaining and fun, but also filled with actually actionable stuff. So check it out. It's going to be good. And otherwise, be well. Have a great evening or the rest of your day, depending on where you are. And be kind to one another. That's all I got. Looking forward to some paintovers tomorrow. Really looking forward to some new stuff next week. I feel like we're just kind of like filling the time right now, and like we're filling the time with like doing drawings and stuff, which is something I'm really excited about. But I'm excited to be able to put some more time and thought and care into what we do here every day. So thank you for being here. I do very much appreciate it. And it's awkward time. Awkward time. Until tomorrow, we'll talk to you soon. Let's find the right window. And up over this one. All right, guys. Beep. Boo.